Welcome, guys. Welcome to this brand new interview. Today we have Mike Morelli. Mike joined us about, I believe, around 4 months ago.
Yeah, it was actually the very beginning of July I joined, like July 1st.
July 1st. Nice. And Mike has his own coaching business where he teaches adventurous men to find meaningful work now. But it wasn't always this niche. He had a little bit of a pivot in a niche after, getting a little bit more clarity around where he wanted his business to go, which we'll dive into later. But this is what his niche is now. He has his own coaching business. And I believe before you joined us, when you basically got started off in this business with your business partner, your launch was great. You guys did 15K in cash or revenue. And after that, you couldn't quite replicate that. It was always ups and downs. So Mike went from that to last month hitting a record month. $27,000 in revenue booked and $16,500 in cash collected. And that was, an upward trajectory ever since he joined us in the program. So I want Mike to, I want you to kind of introduce yourself, man, a little bit about you, where you're from, where you're at right now, and just anything that would help us get to know you a little better.
Yeah. Thanks for the great intro, Quasi. So the name is Mike Morelli. I co-lead Peak Prosper with my business partner, Scott Rowley. And we help adventurous men find meaningful work that's aligned with their purpose. It definitely wasn't always that coming in, but right now living in Costa Rica. Just love being out in nature as much as possible, surfing, being in the mountains. So I've always kind of just been drawn towards that lifestyle for sure. So here I'm in Costa Rica right now.
Mike, what I find memorable about you, the most interesting thing that I remember was that first post that you did, that comfort zone expansion.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Comfort zone expansion. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yeah. So, I'm taking the course and we're talking about, just like breaking out of your current character. And for those of you who've been maybe watching Quasi's stuff or maybe new to it, so really who you are in this current moment, right, is a collection of stories. It's a collection of beliefs that really we've been telling ourselves over and over, and it kind of gets molded into a very strong character, like, oh, I am Mike Morelli, or I am a skier. And so we identify so strongly with these characteristics, which was, my problem, even though I was kind of aware of that going in. But there was this one question that you put out, and it was like, go do something right now that you would never do. And so for me, I've always really judged guys who this is such a funny story to tell. I've always really judged guys on YouTube videos that would go up to girls and just be like, hey, what's up, and get their number straight away and film it and then kiss them and stuff like that. I was always like, wow, those guys are D-bags, and that's never been me, right?
Also, just it'll never be me. I'm too good for that. I'm too much of a gentleman.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I grew up in a family with 4 sisters, and just very, my dad's very virtuous, American man. And so I was like, I was trying to think of some ideas, what would one thing I would never do? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know why that idea popped in my head, but I was like, I'm just going to get on my bike right now, bike down to the beach. I was living in Hawaii back in July. So I just biked right down to the beach in the middle of the day, which is challenging for me too, because I was always we got to work for 8 to 9 hours straight. Biked down to the beach, walked straight up to the first girl that I saw and was like, hey, what's going on? I have a question to ask you. And she was like, what's up? And I was like, hey, this is, I'm taking this personal development course. And, I just wanted to ask you if I could kiss you. And she was like, she's like, what? She's like, what? And I'm like, and her friends were burst out laughing. And I'm like, look.
Oh, so she wasn't alone.
No, she was with her friends, which was even better.
That's amazing.
And so everyone was like, what? And started laughing. I was like, yeah, you have to go do something that you would never do. And I'm telling you, I would never do this. And I feel like such a D-bag right now, but I have to do it. You have to understand. And her friends were like,
my coach is holding me hostage.
Yeah. She was like, what's the name of this program? And I'm like, Reality Mastery, Quasi, look him up. Her friends were like, kiss him, kiss him right now. And she was like, you know what, like, come here. And she just like grabbed me and we just started kissing, and it was hilarious. Like, it was seriously so funny. We wound up like going on a date the next day. It didn't amount to much, but it was more about just like breaking out of, it just was actually so powerful to like break out of your way of thinking, and like these ways that we hold ourselves so concrete, like, oh, I am this way, when it's really just it's an unconscious choice.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that. And even that instance of you breaking out of your shell, I'm sure it's transferred in many different ways into your business as well. So
Huge.
I guess diving into that, Mike, like what got you started in this niche? Like what has been your entrepreneurial journey? Like when did you get started? What did you get started with? How did it evolve?
Yeah, this is a great question. So 2 years ago, and I was actually reflecting on this, Quasi, because before we started this call, I was telling you about I was on that little 4-day vacation. I was just reflecting on this the other day, but literally 2 years ago, to the day we're shooting this right now, I was working in an absolutely soul-sucking job, restaurant server. I had been doing it for too many years. I've been a guy that when I graduated college, I was like, I didn't ever see the value in like spending all that money for a degree. I never even wanted to go, but it was just kind of that society pressure. And I wound up like doing all these odd jobs throughout my whole life, like traveling the world. And the last job that I landed on was this serving gig. It actually paid really good money, short hours. I could ski every day, but there was no, I wasn't leaving any of my own authenticity there. I wasn't actually creating value for people. And I really wanted to inspire and help so many people. I just didn't know what that was. And I just reached a breaking point at that serving job where I was like, I cannot do this one more day. And I actually developed TMJ, which is a jaw disorder from grinding your teeth in your sleep at night from stress. And I had so much anxiety. I had lost all my self-esteem. And so I quit, and I was like, I want to become an entrepreneur. And I started reading like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Killing Sacred Cows by Garrett Gunderson is an amazing book on money and soul purpose. And then I read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And I was like, all right, I want to continue traveling because it's a part of my lifestyle. I love it. I want to continue being able to spend time doing the things I love, like being in the mountains or surfing, but I also need a business at the same time. And so I just dove head straight into like trying to figure it out. I was like flipping Airbnb properties. Nope. I took a stock investing course. Not for me. I was like watching all these YouTube videos on passive income. And eventually I actually landed on Consulting Accelerator. Like my mom was actually like, yo, you should just try this out. Funny enough. And I went into it and discovered like, hey, actually coaching is definitely a strong point for me. And I wound up like starting my own coaching business and was doing that for a year. It has been a massive struggle, like barely hanging on, that type of thing. And then I actually worked with a coach, Scott Rowley, one-on-one. I hired him. And it was a very powerful experience. And we realized that, hey, man, we're actually doing the same thing. We're in the same niche and we're actually on the same level. So at the end of doing one-on-one with him, we were like, dude, let's team up. He's also a backcountry skier. He lives in Montana. We saw life in a very similar way. We had the same aspirations and goals. And so we teamed up. And in that first, like when we joined, we were saying, okay, let's put what we do into a course, and similar format to RM. And we had like a huge launch. And I think there was because there was so much emotional intensity behind it, to be honest with you, which I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, we had like this big first month of like, 15K, and we were like all like euphoria. Like we did it, like we're going to like do this thing. And then over the next 6 months, it was just like, down, and like back into that like rock bottom stuck place again of like freak out. And there's so much more to that story, Quasi, like, to be honest with you, with this like serious physical injury that I had and all this stuff kind of going on. But yeah, that was like kind of the journey over the last 2 years in a very condensed form.
Got it. So
yeah,
I guess like, how long had you been in the coaching business with Scott, with this new business that you made? And what was it initially? Like, what was the niche initially?
Yeah. So Scott and I have been working together now so I was on my own for maybe a little over a year. And then I have been working with Scott now for, I believe it's about 9 to 10 months.
Okay.
And when Scott and I joined, we became peak prosper.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, dude, I couldn't even tell you when we first started off. I think it was become the man you're meant to be. Like, we were like, we help high performing adventurous men become the man they're meant to be, which is, I mean, that doesn't like mean anything, to be honest. I don't know.
Very vague.
So people are like, what do you do? And we were like, we help men become the man they're meant to be. It's kind of embarrassing.
I mean, you needed to learn that lesson, because I remember when I started off, I was like, oh yeah, I just teach people identity shifting.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? You just shift your identity, like, but then you learn those business lessons and how you got to clarify, and you get more focused in one direction. Yeah. And I think that's one of the epiphanies that you had that made that big shift.
But, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. But right before we get to that, like, how did you find out about Reality Mastery? How did you find out about me? And what made you think that, you don't need a business strategy right now, but actually like a mindset to get unblocked in your mindset?
Yeah, because we knew that. Here's the funny thing. So this guy that I told you about, this book that I read, Killing Sacred Cows by Garrett Gunderson, I was able to get his phone number, and I had emailed him and being like, hey man, I'm doing my own coaching business, and I did this because I read your book and it's like changed my life on all this stuff. And he was like, responded to me 2 weeks later and was like, hey man, I literally never check email, and here's my phone number if you want to get in contact with me. So I actually had a phone conversation with this guy right before I joined RM. And I said, I was like, hey dude, we're so stuck in our business. I don't know what the hell, like what's going on and all this stuff. And he pretty much was like, and this is a money guy, right? Big business guy. And he's like, yeah, dude, you're just hitting your own internal blocks. And he didn't give me any business. He was like, dude, I never read business advice books. Never. And I was on the phone just being like, and he was like, I only ask myself, how can I love myself more every day? And realize that it's you're hitting your own internal blocks. And until you work through those things, like, you're just going to keep hitting the same cycles. And I didn't fight that, Quasi, because deep down I knew that. I just didn't know really what I needed to do, because I was so burned out from personal development. It's the most exhausting space in the entire world. We talked about this before on calls, but you're always broken, and you've got to heal yourself, and you got to fix these unwanted thoughts. And you can really get caught in that trap as well. So I was also in this conflict where I was like, I just don't want to work on myself anymore though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I walked away from that phone call being like, all right, I know I have two problems here. I know that I'm hitting my own internal blocks, but the other problem is that the work that I'm doing, I actually don't enjoy, which was such a crazy thing. I was like, I actually don't enjoy any of it. All the things that I'm doing to get clients is exhausting and draining. So I was like, I need to get those two problems solved. And at the same time, my business partner, Scott, was like, yo, dude, who has a kind of a similar business to us, but not really at all, is this guy named Quasi. And I was like, who's Quasi? And he's like, he's a Sam Ovens guy. And whenever I hear that someone's successful from Sam Ovens, there's an immediate trust there, because I have so much respect for Sam Ovens. And I looked you up, and I watched one video, and I was like, yeah, this is my guy. It was just that. I've seen so much stuff in personal development and mindset or whatever. And I was like, no, this is my guy right here. And so I watched the YouTube video and was like, yep, this is legit. I hit up Scott and I was like, yo, Scott, I was like, I don't think that we should go buy consulting up level or whatever from Ovens, because I knew we didn't need business strategy. Yeah. I was like, we don't need a business course. I was like, we need to get down to the core here. And that's when I just hit up Daniel Vo, I think he was working for you at the time, on Facebook Messenger. I was like, yo, can I just set up a call? I just want to see if I'm a good fit for the program. And that was it. really, that was the story. It was just, I watched one video and I was like, yeah, this is my guy. And I want to talk to him and see if the program's a good fit. Like, your testimonials were crazy.
Yeah.
Your you know, I like watched the video and then saw the testimonials and I was like, son of a bitch. All right. Like,
Which one did you see?
Dude, there was one video where, I can't remember the guy's name, but he went from, I cannot remember his name. Super, like, the interview we did with him, he's like super uplifted, positive guy. I think he's an American dude. And he went from like, I don't know if it was like 5K to 50K or something like that.
Oh, Peter Joseph?
Yeah, Peter.
Peter. Yeah, he's a great client. I love Peter.
Wow. When I saw that, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, he has his own coaching business as well, but he does like seminar, like one-to-many, like a group coaching kind of thing. But he was like an airline, a flight attendant before.
Yeah, that's him.
Went down. Yeah. Yeah. He absolutely knocked it out of the park. But he, like, just like all of our successful clients, like, he took the principles to heart and like lived by them every single day, you know?
Yeah.
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 But I want to go back to that point you made about when you started to get sick of personal development. You said you were getting sick of working on yourself every single day. So how do you go from that to like investing in pretty much a personal development, a mindset program?
Manifesting was something that was always really, really interesting to me. I've kind of like slowly gone more into that realm. I had worked with a hypnotherapist, and that was really profound. And I wanted to, like, I've always been really drawn towards nature, like, always, right? And I think actually nature has all the answers. Like, we are a part of nature, right? So just like when I was watching your video, it made sense to me. Like, you weren't talking about the next hack or the next like quick fix or like do this thing. And it was more of like, yeah, I mean, it was like, we've talked about it before, and that's what your course is, like, principle based. And it was such like an uplifting kind of positive transition that it didn't, yes, it's personal development, but it's not also at the same time. It's just how to be a human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think like my biggest problem with the personal development space was that it's not really about personal development. It's more like what you can do. Like, what's the next thing to try and the next thing to do, or the next, you know, it's more like external focus, external doing, having focus. It was never really being like, who can I be? How can I change myself really and get a foundational permanent shift?
Yeah. So actually, here's another thing that might make even more sense. In the first module, you were like, society doesn't teach you how to think. Society doesn't teach you how to be. And when I heard that was something that I had been looking for so long, like a mentor in that space that also thinks that way, because I have really felt that way about life and about society. And yeah, like, I was looking for something that was like encourage like free thinking and like following your own path. And that was something I was really, really looking for, because Scott and I kept saying to Scott, like, dude, like, we're just, you know, like, we're just doing shit to do shit in our business sometimes. And it doesn't, like, we were doing this like direct outreach thing, and it was like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we doing this? Why am I still doing this day after day after day? Like, this is not what I was born to be doing. Like, sitting behind a computer being like, yo, man, what's going on? Like, you dig that video? Like, you want to like jump on a call? Like, you know, and no offense to anyone that does that, because some people get a lot of fulfillment out of that, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I get it. I think we got on one of the Q&A calls, and after that call, you had this epiphany to change the way you were doing things. Like, you did that 15-day challenge. So I want to talk about that. Like, what made you, what takeaway what was the biggest takeaway that you got from the program that really shifted how you viewed your business and how you thought about life in general, that led to you going from like barely making 5K a month and losing money to now, you know, having your record month?
The biggest thing, it's such a hard question to answer, man, because there's so many monumental things that I learned in that course that I'm applying all the time. Even meeting this amazing woman over the last couple of days. It's just, let's see, to make that shift when we did the challenge, you know what it was, man? I think, so we were talking about current character. There's a lot of things in probably what I'm about to say here, and feel free to stop me and pick it apart. But we talked about the current character and then the new character, right? So I love this process. So you define what you want, right? So I was like, all right, this is what I want out of my life and my business and the money. And like, this is what I want it to look like. And then you say, okay, who do you need to be to live that life? So then it goes, all right, I'm going to define the characteristics or this like kind of new version of Mike Morelli who is living that life. And so one of the things that came up was, live events, like teaching and live events that impact thousands of men. Mm-hmm. And so now that I have that, now it's like, okay, so once I've identified that, oh, Mike Morelli's this guy who's actually impacting thousands and thousands of people through his teaching, and then the doing follows. So it's like, it's not someone saying like, oh, you need to do this. No, It's actually your own accord, right? And when the doing followed, I was talking with this other guy, and I was just being like, I was putting it out to the universe. I was like, yo, I want to impact like thousands of people. I was sharing it with people. I was telling my friends and family, and I was having a conversation with this one dude. Oh man, I almost get chills saying this, but I was like, yeah, man, like me and my business partner, we want to impact thousands of people. And he goes, oh man, that's so interesting. I said, why do you say that? He goes, dude, my business partners just ran this like live event and they had thousands of people there. He goes, you should try that. And as soon as I heard that, I go, that's it. Like it was right there. And to anyone listening, I think a lot of the times that when you identify something that you want, it's almost always going to come to you in an unexpected way. Yeah. That has freed me so much from control.
Yeah. Oh my God. So
holy
so
shit. That has changed my life. That has really changed my life.
It's so interesting though, like whenever we start to look for stuff and with like the actual intention to find it, it never really happens in that moment. It's when you let go of needing to control, needing to find it, that's when it organically comes to you. It's literally like finding something you lost, like your keys or something, your wallet. All of a sudden, one day you're not looking for it. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So this guy's like tells me about the challenge and like how, and like helps us like kind of configure it. Scott, my business partner, is like an absolute genius at like the back end automation, systems, tech building. My strong point is like marketing, sales, like writing good copy. And dude, we just put all of our energy into this challenge, and we're like, we're not going to think about the money. We're going to show up to this thing and just blow people away. And at the end of the challenge, there was a delay period that you talked about. And when a week went by to the challenge, we had only gotten one client. So we actually like covered our money, but we were like so disappointed because we had put like all of our energy into this thing. And then a week or 2 weeks after the challenge, like it was like, we had this like moment of clarity being like, dude, it's not become the man you're meant to be. It's none of that. Like, why did we get into personal development? The both of us for the same reason. Why are all the guys in our program joining our program? Like, what is their problem? And we were like, dude, it's meaningful work. And we changed our marketing message. Like, we were like, dude, we have to do this. Changed our marketing message. And literally the next day, it was like, boom. And we did $27,000 in booked in 30 days. It was crazy. It was like the craziest month I've ever had.
Just from one simple tweak that literally came from you, both of you, just becoming introspective, looking within.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting you describe this, because we never, like you mentioned, society never teaches you to look at who you're being and who to be, but teaches you what to do and what the next step is to take. So in a way, we never really even get clear and fully accept what it is that we want. We get fed by outside of what we're supposed to want. We're supposed to want money. We're supposed to want the American dream. We're supposed to want what society tells us to want, but we never take a moment to actually think for ourselves. But the moment you start to think for yourself, your life actually goes beyond your wildest dreams. You know, you actually start to reflect on what you really want.
Yeah.
Which is it's insane.
it's so insane. And, you know, I think the number one reason most people don't get what they want in life is because they don't know what they want in life.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we get so caught up in our society, in our world today, and everyone's like quabbling over, you know, no, this is the right path and this is the right thing to do. And, you know, this is the way the world works. And it's like, whatever you believe to be true is going to come true anyways, right? Like it's all going to manifest. So you may as well believe in something that you do want, right? And that is like got that emotional kind of drive behind it that's meaningful to you, because at the end of the day, you are going to die. Like it is a simple truth of nature that you don't need to fight, right? So it's, I don't know. I mean, I always think back to like when I'm older, maybe 50, 60, 70 years old. And I look back and be like, I do not want to have that feeling of being like, oh, I left it on the table, or I didn't do this because of fear, or whatever the case may be. You know, that's always a driver. But yeah, when you have clarity, oh my God, it really, I believe it personally changes everything, Quasi. And you talked about it just a second ago. I really want to reiterate this to anyone listening, that there isn't going to be a business tactic or strategy that's going to solve the problem. And I really, really believe that, because just look around, right? Look at the coaching space. There's thousands, maybe tens of thousands of successful coaches, and none of them are doing things the same. Like the way that we run our business is totally, like the way that me and Scott get clients is totally different than the way you get clients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we're following similar principles. And once you shut out the noise of the world and really get down and think for yourself, it's really about, in my opinion, just getting down to your natural state, like your natural operating state. Like when you were a kid, right? And you were doing things for the joy of just doing them, not for the praise, not for the accolades, not for the money, right? Not for the fact that it might impress some women, but purely because you wanted to do those things. Like when you get down to that state again as a human, as an older human, as an adult, I think that's the most powerful place to operate from personally.
And I think you've done just that through that 15-day challenge. And I think now that you approach, like looking at the way you're approaching your business now, as opposed to how you used to approach it before, when you thought you needed to do the direct outreach, you thought you needed to sell your soul and grind. That's like the biggest difference I'm seeing. You're no longer like doing things that you don't like to do, things that you're quote unquote weak at, but now you're operating from your strength zone, things that are natural to you, like serving people, like giving value, like doing live events. And you're basically just milking what you're good at.
Yeah. And that's another one of the biggest things that I learned from your program is that exactly what you just said. And I think the thing came after the challenge. After we had that huge month, we did like a dip again, you know, like a dip, like totally cool. And I found myself going back to the old self. And I caught it after like 2 days or 3 days. I remember like talking on a call about it. And I think it's so easy to like go back into this, like slip back into like the unconscious or like the old self, but it's really just having that awareness. Like the program teaches you so much awareness, and it's like, wait, hold on a second. Like let's go back to what we do want here. And again, just like bring your focus to that. That's been, there's so many key things. It's hard to put all of them into words, but it's just been such an amazing experience, and fun too. It hasn't been like, oh shit, I got to do the work. It's like, like I'm actually excited to like learn some new stuff today.
Yeah, that's literally what I wanted to happen.
Dude, and people, the crazy thing too is like people have been noticing too, and I don't mean that to be like, oh man, like, you know, to be honest, I don't really care too much about what people think. But just like even strangers that I'm meeting, like when I was away on the last 4 days of my little holiday, even people are just being like, yo, like you've just got like such a good energy about you. You've got such a good vibe about you. I feel like I'm way more like present in the conversations and not like seeking to take, I feel like that was also a big problem for me, but just like allowing like the energy to just like transfer and like not getting so tangled up in life so much, as you put it in the course as well. But yeah, man, it's been an amazing experience, and I don't see any reason why we're not going to hit our target of 60K a month in the next few months. We're running another live challenge, and yeah, we're loving it.
That's fantastic, man. I'm really glad to hear that. So I guess if I could ask you, like, what's one module or one tool, one practice, or any one thing that was like a big turning point that you took away from the program? What would that be?
Yeah, I actually like say this to people now, or like teach it to people now for sure, but it's the releasing attachment. That is it. I think that's the secret key, because if you think about the way that the program works, you're talking about, like, I was identifying too strongly with my new character as in the beginning of the course, the first few months, and getting really frustrated by it. And if you think about the process, right, like clarity, and then it's like define new self, and also like defining that like energetic, like burning desire, then it's like, okay, what do you do now, right? And for me, because I've always been someone that I can tend to be obsessive at times, and I'm not going to stop until I get what I want, it also creates very strong attachment. And when you talked about the way that energy works in nature, right? There's water coming down a mountain stream and it hits a rock. It doesn't try to go through the rock, right? It hits the rock and goes around it. And when you release attachment, it's almost that in a sense, right, Quasi? It's like, I don't need you to be happy. I don't need you to be fulfilled or feel successful. Like, you can actually just be that, independent of external circumstances or sources or goals. So it almost sounds counterintuitive, right? You're like, oh, here's this goal. Here's my burning desire of why I want it so bad, but I don't need you. And that's like almost like trips you up in a sense, right? Because it's like, wait, so it's not important? No, it's important, but it's almost like allowing, instead of like controlling the outcome or like controlling the path to get there, you're letting go of the attachment, you're letting go of the need for it. And really what nature is going to do is take you by the easiest means possible to achieve the goal. Do you feel like I explained that correctly?
Yeah, it's almost like you have an underlying faith that you are going to get there. Like the assumption and the decision has been made that you are going to get there. It's just like, is it going to happen now, or maybe in a few months from now, or a few years from now? And you're okay with it either way, because you're just having fun in the process. You're not trying to force anything or trying to make the jigsaw fit.
Yeah. And I've been doing that so much about like all these different things. And I had an experience over the last couple of days where I wanted something so bad, and there was so much like positive energy flowing, and I just caught myself like almost getting caught up in it and just being like, you know what? Like, if it happens, it happens. Cool. If this happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But either way, like, and I'll talk to myself out loud or like whatever, I'll just say, either way, I'm still going to be the same person at the end of it. Like, I still am going to love myself at the end of it all. And just those conversations have, man, it's just changed everything, rather than like, I got to do some like hack, or I got to do some like mindset thing, or I got to like work on myself to like make myself like feel better. It's like, nah, man, this is who I am in this moment. And yeah, whatever happens, happens.
So interesting, because I was actually thinking about that the other day. When a lot of us get into the personal development space, we get into it with the internal feeling, or we come from a place of brokenness. We're like, I'm broken, therefore I need to fix myself. But in my life, when I've found the most progress, like just the best things happen, the most forward movement happen, is when I've accepted my own value. I've accepted myself already as perfect. I'm okay. I'm great, but it can always be better. I'm great. Let's see where we can take this. So if anyone's like listening to this, there's always these subtle dynamics that we don't really understand. We're always like, all right, well, you got to do this. Quasi said this, and this is the principle, so do that. But we don't explore again deep down how we really feel about ourselves. Like you mentioned, loving ourselves. Like that book you mentioned, How Can I Love Myself More Every Single Day? You are perfect, but it doesn't mean that you can't improve and get better. And because
Yep.
you can improve and get better doesn't mean you're not perfect now. It's just, it becomes a fun game of where can I take this? Let's see
Yeah.
what we can do with this, how we can mold this, what we can change about this.
Yeah. Oh my God. Everything that you just said, I feel in total alignment with that. And if I could speak on that,
Yeah.
I would add one more thing. And tell me your thoughts, Quasi, but for so much, I would always think that, like, because like personal development is always like, transform yourself and like transform, like, you know what I mean? And I don't think personal development realizes that they associate the transformation a lot of the times with like more money or business growth or a new girlfriend or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't even know sometimes if they realize that they're doing that, but I actually think your course made me have this realization that the transformation, yes, it is internal, but it's not about like going to the next level per se in terms of like more of X. It's actually more about like shedding the layers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
the transformation is actually like a de-transformation. It's
Yeah.
like a return to homeostasis.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but this is like how I feel about it too. It's like it's like, Socrates used to say this. He was like, when we're born, we know everything that we ever need to know. The moment of birth, when it happens, we just forget everything. And the rest of our lives, we spend trying to get back that knowledge that we had right before we were born. That was so powerful. I learned that in college from like a philosophy class or something. But then that always stuck with me. And that's like kind of shaped the basis. I've seen that proof of that so many times in this whole personal development journey that I'm even on,
Yeah, that is the game changer. And I think once you have that awareness, it saves you so much unnecessary suffering. Like, as soon as I find myself going to like chase something, I'll like, wait, dude, don't do that, because the illusion of life. You know that you're going to get that thing, and then you're going to be like, yay, for like a week. And then you're going to return to the way that you are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that, I want financial freedom and I'm going to get it. Right. But I realize that it's not something that is going to per se change me. It's through the principles that I change.
Amazing, man. I think this was like a really eye-opening interview, even for me, just learning all of this stuff from you, man, like the way you're seeing things and, how your perception has changed. But I think the last thing I want to kind of understand is you mentioned that, that there was this period of injury that you had, and, this is something that you recovered from. So I guess if we look back at before you joined and right now, how would you describe your old self, and how would you describe yourself now?
Old self was, trying to control every outcome and frustrated. But grinding is the big word. Just grinding, and exhausted. And now I would say and I don't want to like make it sound like before I joined the program that my life was in shambles. It wasn't in shambles, right? I mean, I was also living in Hawaii and living with a good mate and surfing. But yeah, just kind of thinking a lot about the past.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of my thinking was like, what do I need to do? When he said that in the program, I was like, damn it, So that is me so bad. Like, what do I need to do to get that? And yeah, so I was caught up in a lot of that, and every day was just like pressure. Yeah, man, pressure, grinding, thinking about the past a lot, and to now, way more peaceful, way more. I feel like I've been laughing and smiling more than I have in a long time.
I see
And
that
just
in
like,
your energy, dude. The way you just smiled as you thought about like where I'm at now. It's
yeah,
pretty
dude, like
great.
one of the affirmations that I have, or like character traits that I look at every day in the journal is, dude, like Mike Morelli, he just laughs at himself every day. Like you have to laugh at yourself. You can't, I don't take myself as seriously anymore. And I'm like way more open to just like spontaneous change. Where before, guys, I was like more controlling. So now I've like incorporated a little bit more of just the spontaneous. Yeah, man. And just, I would just say much calmer internal state. The biggest thing is it's almost scary how, how much clarity I have in like what I want in life in every domain. And that's been the game changer, dude, is the clarity component, because I know I'm I have so much faith in myself. When I look at my past, I go, okay, everything that I've like truly wanted in life has manifested. It has come true. So why is any of this going to be any different? Okay, if it isn't going to be any different, then it's just a matter of time. So if it's just a matter of time, like just continue to focus on who you need to be and doing the things that you love. And yeah, and just allow life to just take you there on its natural course. Just like when you were a kid, right? Just like when you were a kid and all of those like amazing things happened, you weren't trying to control outcomes and
You're
people.
gonna get the damn toy. You're gonna get
Yeah.
it. Just be patient.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's the big, that's been like the big change. And I've also surfed some really damn good waves over the last 2 months.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much.
I love to hear that. So I guess just to conclude, if you could recommend this program, or if someone were on the fence and, you could say a few words to them, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would 100% recommend it. It's been one of the best decisions of my life. And if you're on the fence about it, I would even just say, just book a call and just have a conversation. Cause I thought the call that I had was great, right? It's not like it's not like a sales call or anything like that. Like it's really just diagnosing where you're at. And if the program can help, then perfect. Like that's what you would want, right? If you're like listening to this and you're resonating, being like, oh, I don't know, I'm unsure. It's like, well, if this program can actually help you, then happy days for you. So yeah, the program has been life-changing. The ability to just like tap into your energy network quasi and like just show up and ask questions and have conversations with you is huge. The community is like super supportive and positive, which is cool. People are just like sharing wins, and which is something that we've taken, dude. We've taken a lot of just like some of those things and put it into our program as well. And now our whole program guys are like sharing wins and stuff like that. So which has been really cool. But yeah, if you are on the fence about this, you have to remember that same actions equal same results. It's a fundamental truth. If you continue to take the same actions, you will experience the same results. New actions equal new results. So go do something that you wouldn't do and book a call, or go do something that you wouldn't do and reach out to Quasi. That's what I would recommend, because yeah, at the end of the day, one has to take new actions. It's just fundamental law.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that. And Mike, honestly, it makes me so happy to see you living your best life, to see
Cheers,
you
mate.
smiling, to see you happy. I don't care how much more money you make, but as long as you're fulfilled and you're living the life that you want to live, that's what we aim to see with all of our customers, man. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. I'm going to leave Mike's socials, his website, down in the description. You can reach out to him and maybe connect with him if you're interested in working with him. But thank you guys for watching. Till next time. Peace.
Happy days.